Okay, friends, how about 2 videos in one day? So I'm filming this on the same one as I did with the Security 9. I was kind of in the mood, so why not, do another one here for you? So this time we're going to be covering the Palmetto State Armory Dagger pistol. Ooh, yeah, get a load of that, huh? So, people know I am not the biggest fan of Palmetto State Armory for many reasons. And that has been assuaged slightly by this pistol. So, a friend of mine really wanted to see what these were like. And I was also kind of curious as well because PSA has never made a pistol before. They've only done ARs and AKs for the most part. So I was very curious to see how this would turn out. So he ended up buying it, and I was testing it today just to put it through its paces and see how it did. And I have to say it's boring in a good way. So this is supposed to be basically a Glock 19 Gen 3 equivalent kind of pistol, and in some ways I would say it's actually superior to a Glock Gen 3, and one of those ways is ergonomics. So how this thing fits in my hand and the controls. So as you can see, obviously it has quite a different frame shape to it. It's got that hinged trigger, which we'll talk about. Itty bitty teeny tiny mag release, which we'll also talk about. But the grit is actually sculpted for a human hand versus being a block. So ergos and how this fits in my hand is actually really nice. I am a fan. The slide lock release lever as well is different from factory Glock, which is good because the factory Glock slide lock release lever is terrible in my opinion. And this gives you just enough leverage to make it easy to actuate in all the ways that you need it to, especially when you have an empty mag and you put it in the gun like that and you're trying to drop the slide. Normally that's quite difficult to do on a stock Glock. This one is not. So that is a big positive for me. So yeah, all your Glock 19 basically baseline knowledge that you might be familiar with will apply to this. Now, given the price point this thing comes in at, PSA is known for having good price points for their weapons, so this is no different. I believe this particular model here with the optics cut and the sights and everything was $400, so that's pretty cool and kind of low. But it also comes in, I was surprised, a pretty nice little soft case here with some tougher inserts, I guess. But yeah, it comes in this nice case, and it looks pretty cool, pretty professional, you know? Nice little manual, basic, kind of, stick your gun in here with a few mag pouches and stuff. I am a fan of this packaging, especially for what you're paying for this. So that's pretty cool. I like that they did that. So I will give props where props is due, and that's one of them. Now, when my friend received this, he made the note, though, that the optics plate was not even installed from the factory, so suspect. I guess they kind of assume that you're just going to straight up just put your optic on there and not even worry about the plate. I would caution them against that because, well, and also other people as well, even if you do have an optics-ready pistol, you should know where your irons are shooting and what they're zeroed for and where they're hitting. In order to do that, you should obviously train with your irons and actually see where they are hitting. Don't just slap your optic on here and totally forget about your irons and think you're good to go. You should not do that. So if that's PSA's rationale that people aren't even going to use the irons, well, why do you have them on there at all to begin with? So optics plate was not installed from the factory, and I don't know if this will show up very well. Let me try to get some background here. So, as you can see, I don't know if that's going to focus. It's not going to focus. Point is, these screws, the factory supplied screws, are not, they're not flush with the plate. They stick up. I mean, look at that. They don't fit the plate, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to fit whatever optic you're going to put on it. So, that's a bit of a yikes there, bud. Classic PSA, though, I think, in my opinion, that they get some things right, but man, when they get things wrong, they get it pretty freaking wrong. And this is wrong. This is not good. Factory should have done a better job. They should have installed the optic plate, and they should have had screws that actually fit. I don't think it's too much to ask, even at this price point. So big negative there. The sights on these are not particularly great either. They're not even serrated in the back. It's just smooth black like that. That is incredibly cheap. The front sight, oddly enough, is serrated, so that's odd. But there is a ton of space. I don't know if that'll show up there, but there is an absolute ton of space in that sight picture, which not really a fan of. They could have done better with the sights, but I'm guessing they're going to assume most people are just going to swap them out anyways. But it still brings me back to the point, why even bother including sights on here if you think that your customers are just going to replace them anyways? Whatever. So that's two kind of negatives there. Another negative is the trigger on this. So a lot of people will talk about how bad the trigger is or how mediocre the trigger is, and I would say this trigger is extremely mediocre to the point where I don't really enjoy shooting it. So it's a hinge design, kind of like your Smith & Wesson M&Ps, the earlier models that have a hinge trigger, and your FN 509 type pistols. But I will say, in terms of trigger pull and feel, it feels almost exactly like a stock Glock 19 Gen 3 trigger. And I fired quite a bit of those in my time, and it absolutely feels just like it. Now the reset is a little bit different, but in pretty much every appreciable way, it is a stock Gen 3 trigger. So that is to say, not great, and definitely not my favorite, and not something that I like to shoot much. It does work, so I will give it that. It does work, but there's better out there. Now, the magazine release is also characteristically Gen 3 in the sense that it is itty bitty teeny tiny. I hate it. It's also not very positive. So when I was at the range and shooting this thing, when I wanted to pop my mag out, there were times where it would not drop out because they supply, PSA supplies these with Magpul PMags. Now, if you watch my other video on why Glock PMags suck, that applies here. I don't like these. It's just, to me, this is just, I get what they're trying to go for, but like that much sticking out in this cut here just looks unsightly. It doesn't look good. And I've had a few times where, depending on the magazine and the alignment of the stars, how hot it is out, this mag release makes it difficult for me to actually get the magazine out of the freaking gun. There are times where it will not drop free no matter how much I'm trying to shake the darn thing to get it out. Because of the design of this, it's not positive. It doesn't just shoot them out of there. In the spring inside of I guess the grip frame here, the spring for this is so just anemic. It's weak, and it's just not a good mag release design. I don't like it very much. I much prefer the Gen 4s and 5s. If I had a choice. So that is something. I did not test this with Glock OEM mags because I actually don't have Glock 19 OEM Glock mags. I don't. So could not really test that with this because I don't own a Glock 19. But I will say, as far as reliability though, the supplied PMags did work just fine. I had no reliability issues. They lock in, they lock back on empty. They fed the ammunition just fine, so no functional issues there except just trying to get them out of the gun. But that is endemic for these. So, all that having been said, how did it shoot? So, the fact that this feels so much better in my hand than a 19 does, a regular Glock, it felt good. It felt solid when I was presenting on target and trying to do my trigger pull. It felt good in the hand. And I have some targets here that I saved for my buddy just so he could get an idea of what it was doing. But we'll just look at it here real quick like. So this is my target here. This is at 10 yards, and I even wrote little notes on there. This is at 10 yards. The first shot's with this gun. So point of aim for the first 5 shots was right here in the center, and it was hitting low left. So this is 5 shots right here. And you can see 5 shots for each of these groups here, also at 10 yards. So it was hitting about what I expected. The sights are a little off So I had to adjust my point of aim to hit where I wanted to hit. And you can see on here I have point of aim here. We've got point of aim up here, point of aim up here, and you can see where it is hitting. Now, this is also, today when I was shooting this, there was absolutely outrageous winds, so it made it quite difficult to keep it on target consistently. So any of the spread that's on here is probably just me and the combination of terrible trigger, winds, and everything else that goes into that. So accuracy was acceptable at this distance. So next, I have a 25-yard target here. So this is about, I want to say 20 rounds. All this big mess you can see here is 20 rounds, me aiming right here at the center. And so it was, there's some good hits and consistency in here. Some flyers, of course, but like I said, shooting at 25 yards with a Glock Gen 3 trigger like that, especially on this gun, with the insane winds that I had and everything, oh my gosh, it was hard. So these are two separate 5-shot groups that I had, also at 25. Now you'll notice there's only 4 bullet holes on each of them. I have no idea where the 5th one went. I'm going to owe that up probably to the wind and the trigger and everything else, just the total shooting experience, if you will. But it is capable of being consistent. So I would say if I had more ideal conditions, like if I was in an indoor range at 20 yards or 25 yards, these would probably tighten up quite a bit, I would imagine. So accuracy is what I would say on par with other modern production pistols and 9mm that we're all used to. So that's good, at least. So reliability is good. Accuracy is good. Ergonomics, good. Trigger, kind of crap. I don't like it. I don't like it to the point where I don't even want to really shoot this gun anymore, because it's not pleasurable to me. Magazines, nah, I could do with or without. These are cheap. I don't like the Magpul Glock mags. Like I said, I've already made a video on that, so whatever. I imagine they would work. This would work just fine with Glock OEM mags. That's what it was designed for, anyways. So this pistol has a lot going for it. Also, being Gen 3 parts compatible, you can modify this thing to your absolute heart's content. Although I would question why you would really want to do that, because once you start investing all of this money into custom parts, aftermarket parts, and you put all the stuff in and blah, 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 sure, you'll have a gun that's more up to speed, up to par, but then if you look at things that are in that price range for what you spent on the pistol and parts combined, you could just get a good pistol from the start anyways, like, oh, I don't know, an H&K VP9, right? So I'm not going to knock this one too much, especially at its price point. I understand why it exists and why it's popular. PSA will sell an absolute crap load of these things. That's pretty much a given, but it's not perfect. It is very much PSA in the sense that it is inexpensive, but it's not great. It's okay. It's just okay. But for people who have more discerning taste, more advanced experience, I guess, like me, I have no reason to buy or own one of these things. Not when I have all of the other options available to me, and for people that can afford to save up and buy something a little nicer, say a Walther PDP or HKVP9, there's no reason to own one of these. So I did not test the optics mount because, frankly, nothing about this gives me any confidence at all that this is actually going to work. And I don't even have an RMR. I mean, I have a Holosun 507 that lives on my PDP, but it lives on the PDP. I don't want to take it off and put it on this gun to test it, because I just don't want to go through the hassle, and I'm not even sure it would fit anyways. So yeah, calling it optics ready, sure, okay. And if you're putting an optic on this pistol, it probably costs more than the pistol anyways, which I would kind of question why you would get this if you really wanted to be into the whole optics ready game and everything. It just, why? There's better options. If you're spending that amount of money on a nice pistol optic, pistol red dot, you could probably get a better pistol to start with. So, but like I said, I understand why these things exist, why they're coming to market with them, and it does have some benefits. It does have some positives to it for sure. over a regular Glock 19 Gen 3. Yeah, but it's not for me. And I mean, I'm not PSA's like target customer anyways, so I'm not really going to worry about it. It's cool if people have these. In fact, I'd probably even encourage some people to get these things if this is all that they can afford within their price range, because I mean, a Glock's a Glock's a Glock, and they work. They're reliable. They're accurate enough. They're very utilitarian. So if you need a good defense piece, I mean, this will probably do the job for you. This is also a convenient size for like a Streamlight TLR. I think is it 7, I believe, the compact size light that fits perfectly on here. It looks really good with it on. So you could absolutely use this as a nightstand home defense gun. And yeah, you know, a lot of people really like the 19 size pistols. I mean, this thing does fit pretty good in my hand. So yeah, for people looking for a 19 clone pistol, this is not a bad option. Is there better out there? Yes, there is. But at this price point, I mean, it's kind of difficult, I guess, to get these nice features in this price point. So yeah, not a bad showing by PSA. It's restored a little bit of faith in me, just a little bit in PSA. But like I said, the negatives right there with this optics plate, the sights, and the trigger, and the mag release, just no. Anyway, I figured I'd bring that to you guys before I give it back to my buddy, because I don't want to keep this in my inventory. So I'll give it back to him, and he can do what he wants with it and tinker with it, because he's a tinkerer. He likes to tinker with stuff. So we'll use it as a test bed to try out, you know, Gen 3 parts and barrels and things like that, and just kind of go with it, I guess. So anyway, so that's the PSA Dagger for you. If that's something that interests you, I'd say go for it. But if you can save a little bit more and you want something nicer from the get-go, I definitely recommend other pistols. So, but that's just me. I don't like Glocks in general, so, you know, this being a nicer, cheaper Glock, I guess. So anyway, that's all I gotta say about that, and we'll see you next time.